Welcome to Cyber's Talks, where every week we speak to a guest that could speak their perspective on the world today. I'm your host, Javi Lopez, and today's guest is Jimmy Conrad. He's an American retired soccer player who played as a defender. During his 13 years of an MLS career, he was a four-time MLS Best 11, and also in 2005 he was an MLS Best Defender of the Year. He also had 27 caps with the U.S. national team and also played in the World Cup and many Cup of Americas. So, welcome to Jimmy Conrad.
Yeah, thank you so much, Javi. I'm excited to be here. Not only that, you forgot to mention that I was once the host of South Bronx United's very famous fundraising auction. I think I did it twice, if I'm not mistaken, and I wore a tux one time. So, very big deal. And I'm excited to be associated with the club once again. And I love what you're doing. You're doing a lot of great things. And I want you to continue to do this, even if the views aren't where you want them to be. I feel like a lot of content creators that have an idea and have a spirit and enthusiasm for making content get a little discouraged if they don't have a million views on their first few videos. You have to keep at it, and it's actually better. I'm friends with Casey Neistat, who's a very famous YouTuber, did a lot of vlogging, and he told me it would take about 150 videos for me to really find my voice, because you just have to learn how to tell the story in your editing and also in what you want to say. So yeah, you got to keep it up. I love it, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so big thanks for all the support you give for SBU, a nonprofit team. Yeah, it takes a lot of a big person, a big heart to take a team from the South Bronx to represent it. We owe it your pride, and we appreciate it. Not only myself, but the whole entire organization. And I want you to keep that in your mind.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So to start off, I'm just gonna ask you some questions about of course, the topic of the year, basically the topic that's probably gonna be over the decade, COVID-19. I'm also gonna ask you some questions about your former job, your jobs, and also I'm gonna ask you some questions about your career, basically. So to start off the interview, I want to ask you, how personally have you been affected by COVID-19?
Well, if I'm being completely candid with you, I lost all of my work. So I'm currently without any jobs for the first time in a while. There's a part of me that thinks, well, I needed the break because, as you know, with content creation, or at least being on the internet, it's important to put out something all the time, right? And so you never really get to stop and take a breath and take a look around and maybe get that energy again as to why you're making content. Sometimes that leads to burnout, right? Sometimes you get burned out playing soccer, you get burned out doing school sometimes, and you need to find that balance. And so maybe it's a blessing in disguise for me not to have any work. That said, my beautiful wife has an amazing job that is pandemic proof. We're on her insurance, so that allows me to feel a little bit more relaxed. There goes one of my kids right there. But I would say another silver lining for me too is that I'm around my kids a lot as one of them runs by. So I get to work with them from a teaching standpoint, get to understand how they attack a day. I think they're tired of me, and some days they get on my nerves, but that's just part of being family, Javi. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
So that's how it's impacted me on a personal level. Right now, I'm wearing one of the shirts. We partnered with Global Giving. We're selling these T-shirts to raise money. Every single dollar goes to Global Giving. So just trying to think of creative ways to help support causes like South Bronx United as well. Just a lot of special people doing a lot of special things. And I feel like sometimes the news shines a light on all the bad stuff and maybe not enough on the good stuff. So, I'm happy to be here and to talk a little bit more about it. I think for me also, as you mentioned, I was a coach. I coach a fourth division team, USL League 2 team. The season got canceled. So
Yeah.
that was a nice thing for me to find that balance in my life, because when you get into content creation, it's all you think about all the time. What am I posting on Twitter? What am I posting on Instagram? What's going on TikTok? What are we doing on YouTube? Should I go live on Twitch? Like, there's so many different things to think about that. As much as I love all that, and I love building audience and being a part of a community and all that, I still have a distance, right? I'm still ultimately just talking to a camera. I'm not having that personal interaction that I think is necessary. Plus, I've had a pretty crazy career, and I feel like I have a lot to give back. So that coaching allows me to kind of scratch that itch and really give back in a meaningful way to the next generation of players.
Well, as soccer player, my season as well got canceled. A big season for us, for my team.
Okay, so how you feeling?
It's well, it was really confusing at first because first of all, it was just gonna be a month, so we're good. Next month, we're gonna be back in the pitch practicing. The last practice, we made sure we had a lot of fun. But this season, like we came into the league, we were really confident and really like in the goal. Like we got this. We trust each other. Like this was like the season that I felt that I was gonna play my greatest and my team was gonna play beyond that. So I think, but at the same time, I think this is just a great opportunity just to relax, to reset. I think the world needed that. The world needed like to reset and create new things, create new people. As like creating new people, I mean like for example myself, I'm over here making like a little interview stuff that 3 months ago I was like, man, I'm just gonna play soccer this spring. But
Yeah,
now
right, right.
with new people, which I'm really pretty thankful for. But but I think this is just a good thing. I mean, of course, this is a very negative thing. A lot of people are dying, sadly, but for certain people, you just gotta see the bright side. And as you said, the news just portraying the bad stuff. Of course, it's really bad, but you, the news should also portray how people are working hard at home to
Hmm.
maintain food for their families, to maintain courage. A lot of people are suffering from anxiety and depression, and not that's not being mentioned. um, there's over the past 10 years, there's more deaths about suicides and people cutting themselves and being harmful to themselves and ending up in the hospital. More cases than even COVID-19. But now this is like the main case. But that's just life.
Yeah. No, no, it's complicated, right? I mean, it feels complicated. It feels like there are a lot of things that deserve our attention, and COVID-19 obviously has become a global issue. But as you say, and part of the reasons why I was asking you about how you were feeling, because I think that anxiety and depression is real, and I suffer through it too. I'll be honest. Like there's some days where I feel super motivated, and then there'll be an hour or two where I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah,
What am I supposed to be doing right now? I know I should take advantage of this time. I could learn. I want to learn how to speak Spanish. There's plenty of time to do that, and plenty of people that are willing to help me. I'd love to learn how to play an instrument. There's plenty of things I can do to get better at coaching. But then all of a sudden I just drift and watch TikToks. I'm like, what am I? 2 hours later, I'm like, what am I doing?
yeah,
So it's difficult. But then sometimes I wake up and I've got a really full day. And I think what's really helped me is writing a list of things that I
yeah,
want to do. So the night before I go to bed, I write down the things I want to tackle the next day. And I once I have that, I'm okay. But if I don't have that, I'm a little bit all over the place. And
yes,
and and I think that uncertainty is really what is the killer. You just don't know how this is all gonna impact you and your
yeah,
family moving forward. Thankfully, and it sounds like your family's okay too. But I have parents that are of an age that could get sick quickly, and that could be it. And to not be able to go be near them and all the pain and suffering that people are going through, it's pretty heavy right now. And we try to find these silver linings, right? Like that's what keeps us going. But yeah, it's complicated, and that's why I don't know, just got to do the best you can to support everybody. We're all in this together, and that's what I love about soccer in particular. Just to tie it in, is that you're only as strong as your weakest link. So when you have a player on your team that needs to get better, you have to go help that player grow. I always admired my teammates, and as I developed the skill myself, when you play with a team, let's say, and I liken this to when I played with my youth club team. My youth
yeah,
club team was pretty good. So my responsibilities were really just focusing on myself because I knew all the players were pretty good. But then when I played with my high school team, yeah, some of my high school teammates, not so good. Now they're my buddies and I love them to death, but they're not very good. So how do you figure out ways to help them raise their game? And it's very similar to what we're seeing some ways with the COVID stuff, or anybody that's suffering, whether it's mental health or physical health. How can we help them get better and support them in a way that gives them meaning in their life and makes them feel good about themselves?
Well, to follow up with that question, I'm sorry. What was your first reaction when the country went lockdown?
Well, I was in Madrid for El Clasico, which was March 1st. Barcelona, Real Madrid. Great game if you're a Madrid supporter, and it was very cool to be there. I was on the field doing pre and post game stuff for beIN Sports. So I got all dressed up and put on a suit and talked the beautiful game. And I was also there with La Liga doing some stuff around vlogging for the game. So really cool opportunities that I've created for myself post playing career. When the lockdown came and you started to hear more about it, I wasn't that surprised. I think that seemed like when I was doing my own research and reading a little bit, that was probably the smart move, just to understand what we were dealing with. I think there was still a lot of uncertainty as to what this virus really did and to whom it did it to and how we can protect those people the most. And so it just felt like, okay, we're reading some stuff that the lockdown, even if it's just for 2 weeks, will put us in a better position to limit unnecessary deaths. So that felt smart. It felt like common sense to do that. And I was a little, I don't know, not to say disappointed, but just surprised that other states didn't jump on that right away. Like, why not take the two weeks just to do it? Yes, the economy is going to take a hit, but if everybody does it all at once, then the odds are that we could probably, eradicate a lot of the virus, or at least it's spreading.
Yeah,
Now, obviously, every state had different views on it. Information that they were getting were different. Everybody's relying on different sources to get their stuff.
yeah.
And that's where you needed the people at the very, very top to provide the best information. And we could argue that wasn't happening and wasn't maybe clear and as quick as it could have been. So there are a lot of, I think, mistakes that hopefully we'll learn from. I mean, that's the thing, right? But it's unfortunate that probably a lot of people had to die for us to learn these mistakes. To watch or to create?
Both.
Okay. So right now, I think TikTok is probably up there in terms of watching. I think it's consistent in terms of the type of things that people put out there. I think it's got a good spirit about it. I feel like it's pretty lighthearted. And I feel like I'm looking for that type of content a little bit more because it's what I need, right? I mean, you want to laugh a little bit. I'm not laughing as much as I think I was before. And I think that's due to the heaviness of the situation and the uncertainty and obviously a lot of things not happening the way that I thought they were for 2020. TikTok, I think, lends itself to having consistently funny content. You go to Instagram, sometimes you get funny, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
You just don't know what's coming, right? And same with Twitter and YouTube, depending on the people that you follow. So I would say TikTok's what I'm gravitating towards at the moment. In terms of creation, yeah, for me, it's kind of wide open. Sometimes I repurpose my stuff. If I'm motivated about one story in particular, then I have this thing I call the soccer minute, where I try to, rip out a story as fast as I can in 1 minute. I mean, I talk super fast. And then, I do these Coach Jimmy things that live on Instagram and Twitter. Those are fun to make. But I do some funny TikToks too. And I like trying stuff on TikTok. Some of it hits, some of it doesn't, but it's fun. And then I'll be on Twitch soon. I'm probably not going to do as much video game stuff. It's more of like a soccer / video game / kind of variety show / kind of late night talk show, kind of funny stuff. So we're going to see how that works. I'm talking to Twitch now about them giving us some support, and it'll launch next Tuesday on my channel at Jimmy Conrad. But I'm going to wait now. I found it on Tuesday of next week. It's Bayern Munich versus Borussia Dortmund. That's a pretty big game. So I'll probably go live right after that game's over, and we can talk about that a little bit. But I'll have Benny Fellhaber on. I'll have guests on. It'll be a lot of fun. The audience will get a lot of interaction with me as well, and can maybe even call into the show. So there's a lot of fun stuff that we're working on, and it should be good. But yeah, I guess it's kind of wide open. Maybe it depends on the day about which platform I like to create for. But definitely consuming would be TikTok at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Well, one of my goals for this whole quarantine was stay off the phone a little bit. So I haven't downloaded TikTok. I do know what it is, but I haven't downloaded it because I just don't want to stay a lot.
It's addicting. Yeah.
So I put a goal and just put screen time on my phone for 3 hours for my both Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter. And it's annoying, definitely, because I was interviewing on the last episode. I had Sean Johnson.
Yeah, I saw that one.
New York City. And then literally I was like, hey man, just tell me the time and everything. Okay, sure. Oh my God. And I let him see it, and I was like, oh my God, he's gonna think oh my God.
That's fine.
I literally was just to press send, and then the screen time just run out. I was like, hopefully he don't think that I just left him unseen. And then early in the morning I had to tell him hey man, I'm sorry. I had a screen time things.
That's great.
But it always hits you in the worst moments. You watch a good video, but you texting Sean Johnson, but it was annoying. It was really, really annoying. But out of all the platforms, what do you think soccer fans are using or enjoying the most at the moment?
I would say probably Instagram feels like the place people go. They look for highlights there. It's a little bit easier, I think, to curate the followers that you want to find. I guess Twitter would be something similar, but it feels like Instagram. The engagement's a little bit different. You know, for me, if I follow 433, I'll give them as an example. So I follow 433 on Instagram and on Twitter, and they definitely do better numbers on Instagram. You can tell they're putting more love and time into their Instagram content as opposed to the stuff they put on Twitter. Even though it's kind of the same, it just has a different feeling on Insta. And so I'm friends with the 433 guys. Incredible amount of growth that they've had in a short period of time. They're doing a lot of great work. So, you know, they would be a good example of that. And they mix it in, you know, they have highlights, they mix it in with some graphics, they mix it in with some animations. You know, they're really trying to really canvas everything about the sport, right? Whether it's freestyle or like a good goal or, you know, somebody tripping over a ball or, you know, having a funny graphic to give you like what ifs. They do a really good job. And I know they got a big team to really hammer that out, which makes a big difference. But yeah, so I would say Instagram at the moment is probably where you can get a little bit of both, right? Where you can go get that type of stuff, and then you can go look at stories, and it gets a little bit more intimate. You get more of that kind of Snapchat feel, where you're getting a little bit more behind the scenes, and you get to see what maybe your favorite creators do in real life. You know, one of my friends is Castro. You know, obviously he's massive on Twitch, plays a lot of FIFA, and then when you know his Instagram stories are pretty funny because it's just him kind of chilling with his dogs, or PETA, his wife, or no, I guess he hasn't married her yet. He should marry her, Castro, if you ever watch this. It's about time, my friend. But yeah, so it's I like Instagram. I think it ticks a lot more of the boxes, and it's everything kind of all in one spot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm also watching a lot of tape at home.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah, I was gonna say that with regard to my career, and maybe you'll have a question about this before, but I walked on in college. You know, I didn't get highly recruited out of high school. I ended up winning the national championship my senior year. I thought I'd get drafted into MLS. It didn't happen. So I kind of had to walk on again to become a professional. And so one of the things that I did, which really helped me, was working on my game when no one was watching, working on my game by myself. This is an amazing time for all the players out there that follow this and watch, or anybody at SBU.
Yeah, definitely.
To work on your weaknesses. You know, I remember when I first did it, I went and worked on my left foot. I always thought in my mind I was a pretty good juggler, like I could juggle pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I went outside and tried to juggle with my left foot only, and I couldn't do it for like 10 minutes straight. I couldn't get more than one. I'm like, this is embarrassing. Nobody was there. It was just me by myself. And I just went home. I was like, I'm just going to go home because it's easier to play video games and do that than to actually work on my game. And had to be honest with myself that this is a weakness. Like, I'm not good with my left foot. But to my credit, I went back out the next day, still struggled, but I could feel like I got two, you know, like I could see this little tiny improvement. So what ended up happening was I kept going out 10 or 15 minutes, and then I went out to a practice, and I started to get a little bit better than my teammates. And not necessarily better where it's big noticeable difference where I'm just running past guys and dribbling everybody. It's like I just got a little bit calmer with the ball. I just got I didn't get as nervous or anxious when the ball came to me. I had ideas of what I wanted to do once I got it because my ball control was better.
Yeah. Definitely.
And once that starts to happen, then the defenders start to respect you a little bit. Then they're not as tight on you anymore. They give you a little bit more time because they don't want to get beat. And then that allows you to play a little bit in a little bit different way. It's these little subtleties and nuances. But I started to get clearly better. And another way to look at it too was I wasn't just getting better at the things I just described, but also I was consistently good. Yeah. Like, it wasn't like one game I'd be really good and one game I was bad. It was just like all of a sudden I was making less mistakes and doing it less frequently. And then I started to get, because of that consistency, the coaches started to notice me more, and I started to play more, and then I became a pivotal guy, and then I became captain, you know, like, and that's how it all worked in my career. I worked for my youth team, worked on my high school team. I didn't play varsity my freshman year. I had to play JV. And then into college, and then into the pros, and then playing for the national team. Like, I always kind of had to earn and fight for my respect. And a lot of it was just being consistently good all the time. And that all happened because I worked on my game in isolation. And now what happens is once you start to get a little taste of you getting better, dude, you'll stay out there for a lot longer. Because then you go home and you're like, oh man, I've only been working on my game for 10 or 15 minutes a day. More. Imagine if I doubled that and worked for 30 minutes a day, I'd be twice as good, you know? And so then all of a sudden, like, whoa, if I did 30, how about an hour, you know? And then you start to realize all these little things that you put into your game start to layer up. And then you start to get better and better and better. And then I would actually go ask coaches what I needed to work on. And I wouldn't take it personal. Like, hello, coach, what do you think is my weakness in my game? And then I would just go to the school by my house and work on my game against a wall until that wasn't a weakness anymore. And then anytime I talk to a coach, I wouldn't take it personal. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses. I'd just go find out what they were, and then I'd go work on it. And and I'd watch a lot of video. So you were watching Ramos and, everybody else.
Yeah.
I was a center back as well. I'd watch a lot of Maldini, Alessandro Nesta, a little bit older, I think, for your guys.
I know them. They like
yeah, they're studs. I mean, if you play FIFA, you know who Nesta and Maldini are. But I would watch them, and the thing was, I would watch them. I had a whole chart, dude. I would write when they took one touch, when they took two touch, what part of the field, when they were trying to clear it, when they used their head, who are they passing the ball to? Like, if I'm a center back on like a left-sided center back, am I playing it out to the left back more? Am I playing it into the middle more? Am I playing it over to the other center back? Am I hitting the big switch? Like, I would write down all of this stuff, because what you realize when you watch these games is they're not doing anything that you're not capable of.
Yeah.
But they just don't make any mistakes. So how do you incorporate that into your game? How do you know when it's time to play it wide or play it into the middle? Like, these are all little things, and that's where you need repetition. But the more ball control you can get, and more ball control stuff you can work on, it's going to give you the confidence to make those plays. So I know you didn't ask me. I went right into it, Javi, but I went on a rant. That's what I do. But it's a really important time now in isolation for people to work on their game. And it sounds like you are. So I want to encourage you to continue to do
other countries play turn professional as a teenager around there, but you took a different path. You went to college at San Diego State and also UCLA. What benefits did college give you on and off the field to be who you was as a soccer player and then later on as a person?
I think what I loved about college in particular was that it was a nice stepping stone between being a kid ultimately and then before I had to be like a full-on adult. Now, there are a lot of paths to get to becoming a professional now. You can go to the academy system and all that. And I feel like you miss out on a really important part of your life of that transition from kid to adult. When you go into an academy, and I don't want, there's this, like I said, there's a lot of different paths to get to the top. But when you go into an academy and then say you're 18 and then you sign a contract with the first team, you skip all those steps. You skip kind of all the fun experiences and you go jump right into being an adult. And you jump right into having to compete with other grown men to put food on the table. And it's a whole different mentality than playing with your friends in high school, even playing in college. College is a nice buffer for that transition. It's not for everybody, right? Some people are ready to go and ready to become full-blown adults. Others, it could really benefit them. And not only that, off the field too, because you're around people who are like-minded in some ways that want that education, which is really important. Because you can't play sports forever. So it's nice to fall back on something. And then on top of that, you are around other people, like I said, that are kind of going through the same thing at the same time. They're leaving home for the first time. They're hungry and ambitious to get better at, you're going to college to be a better version of yourself. You're trying to learn something more. You're trying to create some skills that are going to help you give back to the world in a meaningful way. Just like you guys are learning at SBU, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So I love the college route. The experiences that I had there were tough. It wasn't always an easy path, I had some hard days, but you're going to have hard days no matter which path you choose. It's just a matter of how you're going to fight through them. Yeah. So for me, college would be something I would still try to push for. I think the game is evolving a little bit here now where they're trying to push our most talented players to get into the academy system as soon as possible. Yeah. I still feel like there's a path through college because I was a late bloomer, man. I like I said, I walked on at San Diego State. I walked on at UCLA, didn't get drafted into MLS, didn't get my first cap of the national team till I was 28. So it just took a long time for me to really get that confidence that I needed to take those big steps. And mine were small baby steps, but that college experience was something I'll never forget. And I still have friends for life because of that experience.
Well, I totally agree with you. Totally. Of course, like there's nothing better than feeling when you get a diploma, high school and college as well. And then, but I mean, if there's like any chance, like I'll take it, but I'll make sure like I do like online college and stuff like that. Cause like also you never know what could happen in your career. You at least know something.
You're right. So I agree with you on that point. I think that's a really good point. What I'll say is I know what I was like at 17 or 18, and there was no way I was ready for a professional environment. I just wasn't ready to start playing with professionals. I mean, imagine going to NYCFC with David Villa there. I would have been crapping my pants. You know what I mean? Like I just wouldn't have been ready. I think emotionally, physically, I wasn't, anywhere where I needed to be at 18. Now that's like you said, if there's an offer and a contract there, why wouldn't you take it, right? You can go do the online school. School will always be waiting for you there if you ever want to go back. It's harder the longer you wait, of course, to get motivated to do it. But it's there's a balance there. Everybody's situation is going to be different, and you're going to have options presented to you, and you're going to make the best choice with your family and go from there. But I don't want to completely disregard college, but I also don't want to completely disregard what you're talking about. Is if you get a good contract offer and it's clear that you can play at a high level, then you might want to explore that, because you got to make your money while you can.
Yeah, and like the experience, like as a young player, like you see like players like, for example, James Sands, NYCFC player, he got the chance to learn from that Andrea Pirlo, David Villa.
Amazing. Yeah.
He's a great player.
Yeah.
So like also like learning from people, stuff like that. Not that you're gonna get the play time that you want, but you're learning, and that could help you in the career in the future. And as well, like for example, in my opinion, like education is like key. So like key. And like even though you can't attend, like at least through online, especially right now, it really shows how much you can learn online. Especially for me, I've learned a lot. Even I say I learned a little bit more than in school. I don't know why, but I'm not putting that out there. But yeah, it's just like it depends, like how you said, the situation you're in. But in my opinion, if I could learn from as much people as I can in those type of chance, like of course the money is there, of course is there, but like if I see like I have a chance, whatever the money is, I want to learn from other people, and then I also want to make sure that plan B is still in my mind.
For sure.
Work hard in college.
And I know it right now. Like I talked about it earlier that I want to learn Spanish. I know what it's going to take for me to learn Spanish, but yet I drag my feet, and I just don't always understand why I'm dragging my feet. Imagine the amount of jobs I could get if I could speak fluent Spanish. I'd be so valuable, because I could do dual languages, and I could talk the beautiful game very eloquently. But yet it's like, it's hard for me to kick on. And maybe it's because I'm not surrounded by it. So it makes it a little bit harder. I'm not in a Spanish environment. I love traveling to Spanish speaking countries, because I'm like, yes, I can try to talk it all day, but it's a little bit harder here at home. And that's where I need to push through. Anyway, just to use that as an example.
So you were recently named the head coach of the San Francisco Giants, as you mentioned in the beginning, from the USL League 2. Mm-hmm. What made you go into coaching after spending some time retired?
Yeah, I always had a passion for coaching. When I was in high school, this is going to make me come off as pretty old, and I'll have to accept that I am. MLS wasn't around yet. MLS started in 96, and I graduated in 94. So when I started college, I had to make choices as to what I wanted to do with my life. I had got into like engineering, mechanical engineering, which is like building bridges and all that, building buildings and stuff. And I did a few of those classes, like, I'm not interested in this. And then I ran into a math teacher at San Diego State who was incredible. And the way he basically performed, he was like performing for you. It was like YouTube before YouTube. The guy was electric. And I want to be that guy. He has everybody in the palm of his hand. People that don't even care about calculus, he makes them care because of how he performs. And I loved his style, and it still stays with me. And so I always just thought, okay, I'll be a math teacher like that guy, go to high school, teach math, and I'll coach the soccer team. Yeah, I mean, that sounds cool. And I actually want to do that at some point. But I kind of fell down this rabbit hole of playing, of being a professional athlete for many years, and then into the media stuff. So I'm still waiting on that. But now I'm really thankful for the Glens for giving me the opportunity. What I think really helps me now is that I can do both, because the USL League 2 season is really just an extension of college. So we have a lot of players from Stanford and Cal, USF, San Francisco State, UC Davis, all the like surrounding schools that come and play for us. And then the season's only 2.5 months long. We train 2 or 3 days a week. We have 15 games in total, and then that's it. So it was a nice blend for me to, as I said, give back in a meaningful way. I think what makes me unique as a coach is that I can relate to almost every player. I can relate to the player that doesn't start, because that's where I had that happen to me. I can relate to the player that kind of had to walk on, the one little engine that could, the underdog, because I was that player. And then as I started to have more success, I can relate to the captain. I can relate to the all-star. I can relate to the national team player. I can relate to what it's like to when you start having kids, any of the off the field stuff, right? I did all those things. And so I feel like that makes me pretty well-rounded in terms of being able to talk to, and have a real talk with all of my players. Be like, hey, what are you going through right now? And how can I help you maximize your potential despite the things that are happening off the field? And I have a lot of experiences, man. I played in some of the biggest stadiums in the world. I played against Messi, Ronaldo, Zidane, all these guys. And so I have a lot of playing experience. I think I have good communication skills, and I have an idea of how I want to play. And so I think that makes me pretty unique.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I did never saw the side of like coaching. Like you experience a lot of stuff, and then you could relate to those players who are in your team. So I've never seen that really side of coaching. I think I always thought that coaching, well, in my eyes, I always thought that coaching is just like to get players who are like in the lower standards to a top standard, stuff like that. I saw it that way, but now you see it in that way. It's just like, oh wait, there's another like reason why that's a cool job, Like coach is a cool job, but like you making it seem that way, it's just like a better job because you're not only a coach, but you also like almost like a father/friend.
Yeah.
For example, my coach, I said Happy Father's Day to him. And they're like, why? So I was like, oh, remember in the summer when you helped me in my dark times and stuff like that, and like they turn into
of course,
someone there, like someone a big image, and like you saying like you could relate to it, just like it's great.
Yeah.
Because it's just like another like you going to job. Well, actually, you going to your job that you love, and also you could relate to a lot of people, and then you could trust them, and they could trust you.
Right.
So that's the best environment to be on.
Yeah.
So it's like a win-win situation for the player and the coach as well.
It ultimately feels like that, right? And that's what I hope, and that's the culture and environment I try to create. I think it's really cool that you can recognize that and are giving the respect to your coach for stepping up when you needed it, right? And letting him know that mattered to you I think is really important. That communication has to go both ways. I would say at times I had to have a real talk with one of my players last season. He wanted to try out with because we're 4th division in this country. He wanted to try out 2 divisions up. And all I said to him was, you need to get fitter. And I hate saying that, Javi. I really hate saying that because it feels very American. Like we just have really fit, strong guys that'll just run for days. The reason why I told him I wanted him to get fitter wasn't because of that. I didn't want to play to that stereotype. I wanted him to get fitter so that he was in good enough shape so that he could showcase what he's good at. Because when he starts to jump up those levels, if they're just passing the ball, he's in the middle of midfield. That's his position. If they're passing the ball around him all the time and he's chasing people, he's going to be dead tired. And what's going to happen when he's dead tired? He's not going to have the energy to do the things that he's very good at, So it was really important for me to tell him and be honest with him, even though he didn't want to hear it. So we still got him to try out, and he goes, okay, they gave him a week. As a good friend of mine, he gave him a week. I think he ended maybe even 10 days. But the coach calls me and he goes, he's just not fit enough. And I was like, no, so like we can see what he's got, but he's so far behind the other guys that they didn't really have a spot for him anyway. I mean, they could, if he really killed it, they would have created a spot for him. But he came back and he was destroyed, man. I don't even know if he was going to play for us this season because he was just so, it was tough. It was tough. So yes, it does create this really strong bond, right? And this trust, but also that trust can lead to some really hard talks. And I think at the end of the day, he's probably mad at me for being honest with him.
Yeah.
But I think as he gets older and understands what I was doing, he'll look back and be like, thank you for being honest with me.
Let's say if I work hard enough and God gives me the blessings and I'm be the person I want to be, I don't want to owe people something. So like I always like by myself stuff. So like, cause it's just like weird. People just asking you a lot of stuff when it was like 6 years ago, and then you have to do it because they helped you out.
Right.
I always used to think like people helping you out is great, but then I just started thinking to reality. I was like, you know what? It feels better personally to do it by yourself. So I mean that's my motivation every day. But
that's great.
To wrap up this question section, what are some advice you will give to young players that want to be coaches when they end their career?
Ooh, great question. With regard to coaching, I would say just pay attention to how your coach is coaching, and not to do it in a way where you're being judgmental, but just to take notes. I like what he does here. I like how he talks to the team in this situation. And then, if you're around another coach or an assistant is around, how do they talk to the team? Because it's probably going to be a little bit different. How do your teammates and you absorb that information? How does he talk a little bit different? Is he a little bit more nurturing, or do you feel like you're a player that needs, somebody's going to come in and be fierce and hard? Just everybody's built a little bit different. So I would just be taking notes on that and honestly creating your own ideas of, actually, I'm going to steal that one. It's a really good idea. Or I don't like how he does that. If I had the chance to be a coach, I would do it like this instead. So it's almost like thinking about being a coach. You want to think like you're a coach in different situations. Obviously, when you're a player, sometimes it's hard. You want to focus on that. But maybe after the fact, taking some time to do that. And then figure out a reason as to why you want to coach. What's your motivation behind that? Because I think you talk about the how and the why a lot, and the what and everything else. I'm excited about coaching because I know what I can provide to the next generation. I have a lot of experience to give back. But I know a lot of people that might not have my experience, but who are so passionate about coaching. They love to communicate. They love to build a team. They love getting everybody on the same page and working towards a common goal. So you really, I feel like, need to decide what your why is and your what and how and all that good stuff, because that's what's going to get you up out of bed every day and get you motivated and excited. So it could be coaching, could be anything else, but any goal that you have, anything you want to get better at, or anything you're passionate about, will be a lot easier if you kind of know why you're doing it. So I would really start there. And then I would watch, and I read a lot of books. So I've read a lot of books from like Sir Alex Ferguson or about, whether it's their own autobiography or somebody else wrote it. Phil Jackson, who was coach of the Bulls. There's a really famous UCLA coach who won like 10 national titles back in the day, John Wooden. So there's Sir Alex Ferguson. I mean, I try to go through all sports because it's really not about sports, right? It's more about how they're managing human beings. That is it, right? You can strip away basketball, soccer. It doesn't matter, right? It's just about how they're managing human beings. So I would try to read as much as possible. I also like to see, I listen to quotes from Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho, Jurgen Klopp, all these guys, right? Yeah. How they talk to the media, how they interact with their own players, all that type of stuff. Their sideline demeanor. Are they crazy? Are they like jumping all over the place? Are they like subdued? Are they cool? All that type of stuff. I try to take notes on all that stuff because it will inform how you want to be a coach.
Yeah, definitely. Now that you say it that way, it's way better. For example, I'm the captain. Luckily, I'm the captain and gratefully of my soccer team. So like I read the book of Steven Gerrard. Mm-hmm. I totally recommend. It's so good and so funny too, which is weird because he's like a very serious man on TV, but like when you read the book, it's hilarious. I loved it, every page of it, and then you just learn things that outside the field that you could do to better your career, and inside the field how you could help your teammates out and yourself out at the same time. So every time somebody asks me what book do you recommend me, I'm like, I'm sorry, but Steven Gerrard, he's a soccer player. That's the one that because I don't read a lot of books personally. Mm-hmm. I really like I like more watching movies. Well, yeah, watching movies, watching videos, stuff like that. But me reading that book made me an impact. Like, whoa, like there's a lot of things going on outside of soccer player's life. And that was like 4 years ago. Like I was still 12, 13. Like I still had like a plan. And I was like, it's crazy how I was judging players just in the field. Mm-hmm. When I now know they have feelings just like me. And like, mm-hmm. It's just like, it's very like, I call it stupid, but not like people gonna call it stupid. It's just like, everybody has feelings obviously, but like when you see soccer players and you see Gerrard scoring those 50-yard goal, like this man is perfect. Like this man is perfect, and like, and then you see like when there was like the frustration where he was about to go to Chelsea, and you see the fans giving mm-hmm. threats to his family, himself, and I was like, yo, that's crazy. That was really crazy and really impactful part. And then they just like take like, especially when the future is about technology, like how can I manage media that people want rumor or like want to talk bad about myself, even though I don't really care. But mm-hmm. sometimes you could be in a bad day situation and be like, and then just curse somebody out on the internet. Not everybody sees like the bad man. So like having those books like that is very inspiring. Now you talking about Sir Alex Ferguson. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time. And then he also he's also wise. Like he's really wise man. So mm-hmm. like he also knows a lot more than you think he does. But
That's
yeah,
part of getting old, right? I think as you get old, you get wiser, or at least that's the cliche. But yeah, I mean, the guy's seen it all. And I think what I really like is his more of his origin story. As you mentioned with Steven Gerrard, well, how did he become that player? I mean, we remember the best, the greatest of all time based on their peak, but they had to struggle at some point along the way too. And I think all of us could relate to that struggle. So it was really interesting to learn about Sir Alex Ferguson, or even Arsene Wenger, who had a great career with Arsenal. He was an average soccer player. So it was the same with Jurgen Klopp. They weren't great, but they've turned out to be very good coaches. And why is that? What made them change their mind? How did they start to get into coaching? What were they thinking about? What decisions did they make? And I think you start to see a lot of similarities and things ultimately that we talked earlier about watching video of players.
yeah.
You start to realize they're not really doing anything that you can't yourself do. They make less mistakes, right? They've just seen so many plays over and over and over. They just feel really comfortable about making these plays. But they started somewhere too, just like us. And so the same thing when you read these books. I'm pointing at my Sir Alex Ferguson book over here, but yeah, it's something I've read a few times, and there's certain passages, just like the Steven Gerrard stuff, like that stick with you.
Definitely. Well, we have like a little soccer section when you put like your opinion out there.
Okay.
So I just wanted to ask you, what's your favorite team?
So in my media stuff, I've learned, I'm prefacing this, that it's kind of cool to have a team to support in every country. It feels very American to do that, right? I think everywhere else, everybody's like, no, man, I just support the one team where I'm from, and that's it. But I played for Kansas City the longest here in MLS, so I'm a sporty Kansas City fan. In England, I support Newcastle United. It's a tough one.
Nice.
Yeah, they're okay. It's tough. We struggle a bit. In France, I support Marseille. I've done a lot of stuff with Marseille, and really cool club. A lot of great history there. Yeah. In Spain, I support Atletico Madrid. Now, I have a ton of respect for Barcelona, who it's like a team I would never be good enough to play for. And then Real Madrid, where like they're just way too good as well. I love both of those clubs. I think it's awesome that they exist and that they have one of the best rivalries in sports, if not the best. But there's something about Atletico Madrid. Like I wasn't the most talented guy, but I would work and fight for everything that I got. And I feel like Atletico Madrid embodies that a little bit more. So they're my Spanish club. In Italy, I got Roma. Roma's my team in Italy. I have a great relationship with that club. And then in Germany, I've yet to pick one. Bayern Munich, I do a lot of stuff with Bayern, but they just win everything all the time.
I know.
So that kind of takes the fun out of it. And then in Mexico, I have Tijuana Zolos Cholos. One of my former teammates, Hercules Gomez, played for them, and he got me a jersey. My nickname's Conradinho, so he got me like an official jersey that says Conradinho on it. So I have to be a Zolos Cholos fan at this point. I'm from LA. That's the closest team to LA. So yeah, those are pretty much all my clubs. I support Boca Juniors in Argentina. I love Boca.
Yeah.
So I know all your River Plate fans out there are going to hate me from here on out, but yeah, I mean, I just try to have some fun and support some teams. And I think it makes it more engaging with my fans when I have a team that I support, as if going like, I don't support anybody. That's not any fun.
Yeah, so definitely. So if you could choose one team from all of them that you told me, what team would you coach, and what's one player, all-time player, that you could choose to buy and would definitely come by?
Wow, that's a great question. So I would say it would be really fun to coach in Spain. I worked with La Liga this past season, so I got a really good understanding of how that league works and all the wonderful stories there. And as again, it would force me to learn Spanish, and I would love that. But Atletico seems to be doing just fine under Diego Simeone. They've had some success. They have purchased some players. I would probably go Newcastle because the fan base is so good. They struggle a lot, and it would be cool to get them back up to the top. So I'd probably say them, and to be their Lord and Savior would be amazing. And then any player all time, I'm trying to think of a player that would fit that system, or at least the one that I would want to do. Wow. I mean, it's hard to get. I'd probably go with R9 Ronaldo. I got to play against R9 Ronaldo. The guy's an absolute beast, and I just feel like he could win games by himself. Not to say, obviously Messi would be, and CR7, incredible players. But I'm telling you, peak R9 Ronaldo or Ronaldinho, like those guys at their peak. Now, Ronaldinho would probably party too much, so I couldn't count on him for too many years. But R9 Ronaldo, if I could get him to stay for like 10 years, he's the type of player that other players want to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to come. So I feel like you got to get one of those players.
Yeah, that's
And then everybody else will come and want to play. So you get like a Zidane, R9 Ronaldo. But I would say R9 Ronaldo. He just would bang in so many goals. So I'd probably go with him.
yeah. Well, definitely, I'll go with our coach, LCSC. If I
Okay.
could, if I could bring one player, it will be. Well, as you said, like I need a player who attracts attention from other players and other teams. So I said, um, I'll say right now, Sadio Mane. Even though he says all time,
Wow.
even though it's all time, but Sadio Mane brings so much attention from Africa,
Yeah,
from
for sure.
from
Dude, the guy's incredible.
yeah, and also he's just a great guy. He also like another person that inspired me to bring back to the community. He builds like hospitals, schools over there.
Mm-hmm,
Like he
mm-hmm.
just be spending his money on Ferraris and Lamborghinis, but he decides not to and just build hospitals, houses for people in his old town, which is crazy.
Yeah,
So
the guy's a real deal. That's a great choice.
so having him also inspired the teammates to do something and also like inspire people to come to the team and also learn a lot of stuff. It's really it sucks because it's all time, so I could really choose Zidane or R9 like yourself, but like thinking, I mean, all those people, or even Drogba. Drogba would be a good choice too.
Yeah, he would.
Um,
I played against Drogba as well. He's a beast.
but like overall, just like right now, that's like the play that came on my mind, so I just sticking with that. I just gotta trust my instinct.
No, you should. Sadio Mane is a great choice, and I think a lot of players do want to play with him. And Messi said, I think last year that he deserved to be in the final three for Ballon d'Or, if not the winner. Like that was Messi's favorite player last season, which is the highest praise I think you can get.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I saw the voting and stuff. It was pretty cool. But just to wrap this up, once again, thank you very much for attending to my podcast, my interview. I'm really grateful and thankful for all you do for SBU. Not only me, like I said in the beginning, also my team, all the organization, the women's team, everybody, the staff. I'm very thankful for you and for other people who help in SBU.
Well, Javi, thank you for being you. Thank you for having me on the show. Give all my love to SBU and Andrew and everybody else that's doing the hard work behind the scenes to provide opportunities for you guys and for you guys for doing the work. You know, you're putting it in and trying to be the best versions of yourself that you can be, and I have a lot of respect for that.
To wrap everything up, I would just want to say a big thanks to SBU staff and Andrew Saw, obviously, and also Jimmy Conrad for giving me this opportunity to talk to him. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm trying to keep it as consistent as I can. I know I'm posting this video in the tough times in the world right now with the pandemic and also with the Black Lives Matter movement. I just want I want to tell you guys to like stay together, stay united. Remember that we're in the middle of a pandemic, so if you guys going outside, make sure to wear a mask and try to stay as far as you can from other people. I know it's very hard because it's a protest. But yeah, thank you very much to everybody. The support I'm getting lately is really great. I appreciate it a lot, and I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you very much, and don't forget to check out the next video. Thank you.